Hi, and welcome back to another episode of the Neighborhood Ventures podcast. I'm Bart Deal. Today I'm joined by two awesome and regular guests at this point, Nick Jackson and Kyle McDonald. We got a great slate of topics today. We're going to talk about Arizona suing Zillow. We're also going to have a little sports segment. So we're going to talk about the Arizona Cardinals and also ASU and how it relates to mixed-use developments, multifamily, things like that. But the first topic we'll dive into is a hot one. So Arizona is suing Zillow for unfair dominance in the market. So Arizona, along with four other states, is suing Zillow and Redfin. Zillow paid Redfin $100 million to stop competing in the rental listing business for up to 9 years. Because of this deal, Zillow basically has all the control of most online rental listings. So what Arizona and these four other states are claiming is that this is bad for renters because less competition in this space can make advertising more expensive for landlords for listing these units on this platform, and those costs get passed on to people renting apartments. The lawsuit says this breaks antitrust laws, which are basically rules meant to keep companies from squashing their competition. Zillow and Redfin are claiming that this helps renters and does not hurt them. So I want to know what you guys think. I mean, this is a kind of a big brain topic. Do you guys think this could potentially hurt renters? Do you guys think this will influence rental prices?
Well, look, I think when you have one platform that oversees the whole rental market for multifamily, I just think you're you're setting yourself up for I think maybe not higher costs at the beginning, but I think the quality isn't going to be there because when you have control of the market, you're not going to necessarily spend more money to maybe improve the system.
Yeah.
Maybe. But I think you mentioned that the costs eventually will get down to the renters because the multifamily and the operators are going to be passing those costs down to the renting. And so they're going to add that rent $10 more.
As a landlord, it's not my fault that Zillow's prices went up.
100%.
No. It makes total sense.
And I think I'm really happy with this. I'm surprised this is just now getting into the news. I'm surprised it wasn't public when it happened, and now it's just finally surfacing. And I think it's something that because of our market, rents are going up, and we want to say they're going up in the right reason for going up, and not just because of Zillow and costs.
Yeah, that's what I was going to hit on really is, when you have a market that has this many multifamily units, this many residential units, and is continuing, to be on the top 5 every year of new units delivered, to have an influence like this as an investor can be really interesting, right? The FTC looks like they're pursuing action here, while Zillow is claiming this agreement to be, pro-consumer. I have a hard time seeing that. I think, like you said, the more competition you have, the more, I think, reliable data it can have. And, I think as an investor, data is key, right? But also, from a landlord and renter perspective, you want to make sure that not only you're doing right for your tenants, but you're as a tenant, you feel like you're getting a good deal, and that there's just so much ambiguity that can be taken out of this. So
And let's be honest, Zillow didn't purchase Redfin for $100 million. They spent $100 million to say go away,
Yeah,
and let us have this space. And that's a lot of money to for any company, and for them to say it's pro-consumer.
well, also like that 100 million has to get recouped somewhere.
Somehow that's got to.
There's a math equation that's happening where it's like, hey, if we do this, maybe it's, and we're making claims here. I don't know.
We are, but to your point, like it's got to pencil, and somehow $100 million has to equate to revenue of some point.
Yeah.
Not necessarily.
One of the things you touched on earlier was quality. And then that, in my head, that goes innovation. So there's a case in law school, I remember, is United States versus Microsoft Corp in 1998. So this may be a little bit of precedence for this case. But basically, so there's this market dominance of Microsoft back in the 1990s, and it's still very similar today. But in the 90s, Microsoft had near and total control over PC operating systems, which is Windows. And if you look at this case, Zillow has a huge influence over all online rental listings and Redfin. Microsoft made deals with PC manufacturers to pre-install Internet Explorer and tried to limit competition from other browsers. Similarly, Zillow made a deal with Redfin, where Redfin agreed not to compete in rental listings for up to 9 years, giving Zillow almost exclusive control. So this has a pretty major effect on consumers. Microsoft limited browser choice, potentially stifling innovation. So can you guys imagine if we were still using Internet Explorer? The only thing that you could use was Internet Explorer, and we'd be living in the Stone Ages.
I don't know how we'd be producing this podcast.
Yeah. And then Zillow could make rental advertising more expensive for landlords, potentially raising rental prices, limiting options for renters, and to Nick's point, stifling innovation. So the legal response here is Microsoft was sued by the U.S. government under antitrust laws and was forced to change their business practices. And then now Zillow and Redfin are being sued by Arizona, other states, and separately by the FTC, like Kyle mentioned, for violating antitrust laws. What the outcome of this case will be, I'm not sure, but it just reminded me there's a lot of parries in that, in these two cases.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I think we got to remember competition is a good thing.
Yeah.
I think innovation happens when you are competing against yourself sometimes, but you have other people who are in the same space doing the same thing that you're doing, trying to make it better. And I think this kind of takes that step.
Yeah, can you imagine if Tom Brady won every single Super Bowl, while he was here? People would hate it. We love the competition. I want to move over sports, talk about the Arizona Cardinals.
Yes.
So the Arizona Cardinals have a new headquarters and training facility. Kyle, can you give us an overview of this project?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is huge news. One, because the Arizona Cardinals are spending money, which is that's a news flash, I think, for all of us. They're building a new $200 million headquarters in North Scottsdale area on 217 acres, right near the Loop 101 and Scottsdale Road. So there was a developer up there, Mortensen, who won an auction, and then in tandem with that, the Bidwell family, who owns the Arizona Cardinals and have since the 1930s, they came in and made an agreement with Mortensen where they could buy this specific parcel that's right off the Loop 101, incredibly visible by everyone who's on that freeway, and it'll have kind of mixed use components from retail to residential, and of course the team practice facility, practice fields, treatment centers, restaurants and locker rooms for the players. But this is big news because 6 months ago they announced that they were going to do $100 million renovation on their existing Tempe headquarters.
Yeah.
But it looks like they just wanted a clean slate.
Yeah, that's totally fair. That area of town is growing. It's popping. How do large scale sports facilities impact nearby real estate ventures? Do you guys think there's going to be more people moving to this area, especially multifamily, so they can be close to the Cardinals?
Yeah, for sure. I think when it comes to just multifamily jobs, I think I saw that the design of this looks really cool.
Yeah.
And I think to be close to something this just the design of this looks kind of more of a next futuristic.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of an enticement to be close to something like that. I also think it's cool to be able just to be where things are growing, and I think that whole area,
Scottsdale 101, Phase 6 and 101.
all right there, is growing. There's supposed to be there was years ago a big mall that was supposed to be built there.
Yeah.
And that kind of, I think Nordstrom's was supposed to be the anchor, and that didn't quite happen. And so people kind of thought, oh well, maybe. And then I think the Coyotes were thinking of coming in and kind of doing that. And so now with the Cardinals coming in, and I think it kind of is a perfect space for them, and I look forward to
Is it being tokened as the headquarters alley? because you have the Cardinals OHU is going to be there. You have Sprouts Farmers Market. Their new headquarters is going to be there, and their new flagship store. You have Mayo Clinic that has a $2 billion expansion in the same area. You have the Republic Services new headquarters right there. You have the massive City North mixed-use development is going to be there. That's multifamily, retail, residential housing. And then also you have Axon headquarters right there. And there's just more of these companies moving to that spot.
Well, and I think Kyle talked about it. The location is you're gonna get thousands, hundreds of thousands of people driving by, and they're gonna be able to see it from the freeway.
Yeah.
Which is
This is really one of the last undeveloped prime locations here in the valley. And, knowing where this area is, it's a relatively wealthy area, wealthy zip code. And, that the land, if you look at the land acquisition pricing that these developers paid, it's substantial. And so for the Cardinals to roll the dice, I think too, this is more, there's two things for them. One, having a state-of-the-art, one of the best facilities in the NFL, but also building a brand and being more ingrained in the community, because we all know, their stadium, while it is amazing, it is on the west side of town, and they miss out on a whole lot of the East Valley, Mesa, Gilbert, Chandler, even this area where the practice facility is, Scottsdale. So I think they're really trying to get more engaged with the community. And so having this prime visibility is every day you're going to have these people thinking about the Arizona Cardinals as they drive by. So it's cool.
Well, and you hit on it. We've been on the bottom of the facilities list based off of player surveys for many years.
Yeah, I know the players are happy about this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so so we hope that if the players are happy, then that means the team's happy, and we hope that the team will continue to do good.
I saw a comment on Instagram about this. The comment said, "Looks like peer pressure works." So it's like you said, the Arizona Cardinals have been getting some of the worst grades by the NFL or the NFL Players Association for the last 3 or 4 years. Yeah, it's very public, and so.
But it's also like if you're a bid well, like let's control the controllables, and hey, we have the money. Let's we can't be the 31st team, with in terms of facilities. We let's build this out. Let's make it a mecca for our players, for our staff. Really show people what Arizona is all about.
Yeah, absolutely. Being a top 5 metro and having an NFL team and being, that lowly ranked, for facilities is embarrassing. And so I'm so excited for these guys. I think this is an amazing project, and it really is an upgrade to the location of where they currently are in South Tempe.
Well, and just keep in mind, so 30 acres is for the Cardinals, but there's 87 acres of mixed commercial use. We want retail, medical.
We want corporate companies to move into those spaces. So neighborhood ventures, we might go over next over the Cardinals. No, we love the grid here in Phoenix. We see an example of this already with the Phoenix Suns practice facility. They're right next to the Global Ambassador, which is one of the nicest hotels in the valley. Right across from it is luxury housing called the Bergen. Those units go for, I believe it's a mix of apartments and condos, but the condos are multi-million-dollar condos, and some of the NBA players just live in there, like Grayson Allen, Mason Plumlee. And so I really think where this is going, like you said, headquarters, but also luxury housing, luxury hospitality, you name it.
And it's just so easily accessible by the freeway. And that's what I like about it. It's not out the beaten path. You can get to it from, different avenues as far as on, from the 101. So.
Yep. Well, I want to jump into the next sports topic and talk about ASU and their athletic projects. So ASU announced a $135 million capital improvement plan for renovations at Desert Financial Arena. So $100 million for renovations at Desert Financial Arena, and then $35 million for a new football practice facility. Planning begins early 2026 for this, and construction starts in early January 2027. I'm asking the question, do you guys think proximity to new athletic facilities create opportunities for mixed-use development and multifamily?
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, right now there's a trend in the United States. I mean, we were just talking about the Cardinals, but also for ASU. Anyone who's developing in sports wants to create an entertainment district. Yeah, wants to create a mixed use district. It's not just all about the stadium or the practice facility and like, hey, how nice is it? They're very focused on this ripple effect. We're seeing it with the Diamondbacks. Like the Diamondbacks got approved for their renovation. They're like, yeah, we want to renovate the stadium and make it nice and luxurious, but we want to develop downtown Phoenix as well. And I think we're seeing it all across the country, and ASU for sure.
Yeah, to your point, I know like by the Battery where the Braves play, they built out. It's like all these multifamily of all this retail, all these nice restaurants. So even during the off season, people are going there to hang out.
Yeah.
So they're constantly monetizing the area. Wrigleyville is another one. Chicago Cubs bought a lot of the land around Wrigley Field, and all of the restaurants and bars and things that are under Cubs purview, that actually helps the team. The profits from that help their team. So, to your point, Kyle, we actually do see this, and it does generate excitement, but also brings jobs to the area. You have people who go and try to live there. Whether I would love to live close to, Chicago Cubs. I'd love to live in a multifamily apartment in Wrigleyville, but it's really exciting.
Well, and I think we got to remind ourselves this was built in 1974. And a good reminder. So I, I think, especially a sports facility that you want to take your family to, you want to make sure it's safe. You want to make sure that you have all the right pieces to it.
Well, for investors and people who, own multifamily in Tempe or looking to develop multifamily in Tempe, they're basically raising a signal flag on their ship saying, hey, this is an amazing market. They're putting $135 million into the basketball stadium, into these facilities. I mean, NIL for ASU is continuing to grow. And so, it's just, they're signaling that, hey, this area is not going to be gentrified. These stadiums won't be gentrified. These facilities won't be gentrified because we believe in what we're doing here at ASU. And sure, it's a university, and there's some differences in how universities look at economic development, look at real estate investing, but they want, just like the Cardinals, ASU wants to have a great brand image. They want their students, their faculty, their alumni to come to ASU and feel, oh my gosh, this is an incredible place. This is an incredible environment. Everything's super nice, state of the art, #1 in innovation every year. They want to feel that. And if you've been to the Desert Financial Arena lately, it doesn't live up to that standard.
Yeah.
And so this is an amazing, really pulling the trigger to get this done.
Yeah. And Nick said this on a lot of podcasts. If you build it, they will come. And that's another part of it is if you're a top recruit in the nation, you're looking to go to ASU, who's maybe 150th in facilities, and then you have another school that's number 2 in facilities. That's going to play a big role in like, this locker room is way nicer. They have a ping pong table in the locker room. They got the TVs. They're really trying to build everything. So not just student, but also athletes are more likely to come to that.
For us as neighborhood ventures, I think it's important to understand that the essence of investing, while it is analytical, it's also an emotional decision.
Yeah.
Right. So for us to go in and buy an asset, maybe in Tempe or around ASU, or for us to ask our investors to invest, these are things that stir up emotional excitement.
Yeah.
And it's valid, right? We could like the deal all we want. Our investors could like the deal all they want, but if they're not excited about it, they're not excited about what's happening either in the deal or around the deal to make it successful, it's at the end of the day, investing to me and maybe to you guys as well is is an emotional decision after the analytics.
Yeah, you got to get past the analytics first. Does this pencil?
Yeah.
You know, is the underwriting on this deal safe? Is it conservative? Does it make sense? And after that, it's can I get bought into this area?
Yeah.
You know, like we have a project actually on Coulter where it's adjacent to GCU, so it pencils. You do the math on this, we're getting a 30% discount. It's exciting. Okay, now let's talk about the location. It's adjacent to GCU. GCU's bought all the surrounding land. This is one of the last parcels they haven't purchased. Um, the area right now is a little bit shaky just because it's developing. But this is one of those projects where there's a lot of upside if it continues to develop at the rate it's developing. So there's an emotional aspect behind it where I trust this area. I had an investor actually reach out to me and he's like, hey, I want to buy a short-term rental at GCU. I think there's going to be a lot of appreciation growth. He's not for Phoenix, but he's looking into it. He's getting emotional about it. He's getting excited about the area. So that's a good point, Kyle.
Yeah, I mean, a multi-billion-dollar Arizona Cardinals is putting a facility there. A multi-billion-dollar university is upgrading facilities and putting new facilities in.
Yeah.
I mean, that right there, to me, is stability, but also excitement. And so I love it. I would love to invest and find deals here.